Hello, I've been asked to record this for the guys at Creme Global for the Predict conference. I ran a webinar, but I think somebody forgot to press the record button. So here goes. My presentation will be on gaining competitive advantage, and this is a quick snapshot of what it is. I have the good fortune to work with about 40 businesses per year and try to help them adjust to becoming a digital innovator, becoming a more relevant organization in the digital age. And many misunderstand how to create competitive advantage and go about digitizing their existing services in the hope that it will create sustainable growth in the future. And more often than not, that doesn't happen. So the reason that I am passionate about this is because I believe that we need to shift how we're working from being siloed based mentality where marketers are over here using pseudoscience and bad data, where you have the data experts sitting over here making faces at the marketers, and you've got the leadership that's sitting in the middle. They're not asking strategically important questions that both parties should really be coming towards to helping to answer. It starts off by misunderstanding the term digital and transformation, and digital transformation is the label that becoming more relevant has really got. My understanding of the term digital transformation is that the word digital is a synonym for the pace of change that's occurring in today's world, driven by the rapid adoption of technology. So it's to talk about pace of change as opposed to the tech itself. Transformation is an organization's ability to change, innovate, and reinvent rather than simply enhance and support traditional methods. What has this got to do with data, you ask? Well, actually, most organizations are sitting on a wealth of data, nothing new to data specialists. But the challenge that I see is that they are not asking strategic questions that could be answered with the data, and therefore the data remains underutilized. And actually, when they get together to collaborate correctly on a strategy, the data becomes the leading asset. So how do we get to that stage? Well, the first thing we need to do is to move the mindset of the three constituent lead players that are involved in many organizations. When I talk about marketing, I'm not talking about the guys that do Twitter and all of that good stuff. It's people who understand market position or value proposition to the marketplace, how to displace competitors. It's understanding that kind of market dynamics. Many of them are heavily involved in linking systems together, social media in with content management, in with back office systems. And that's operational effectiveness. It's not strategic. So what happens is that they're doing too much in the marketing tactics and not enough of the marketing leadership. Because if they were, they would be asking questions around how they could create competitive advantage using the assets that they had. Equally, on the other side, we've got technologists who are creating data, are supporting systems. They're more interested in database structures rather than creating rapid solutions for the organization. And so they fail to collaborate with the marketers. And the reason is they've nothing in common. Why? Because the leadership keep asking them to do small things. Like, can you tweet harder? Can you back up better? Can you give us less risk? Really, the leadership need to understand that there are frameworks and models that allow them to shift their thinking so that they become completely relevant in the discussion and they lead step change. How do we change our organization? And when they help lead that conversation, more often than not, we're now finding is that data comes into making the play as to how the organization fronts going forward. Now, let me show you quickly how that plays out. This is a quadrant that we would use. It determines where a business sits and then what play it has, where it can go. So to determine where you sit, there are characteristics of the four squares. Advocacy, you tend to find that people go to a website to find out about you and your people. Authority, they're coming to hear what you have to say. They're interested in what you have to say. Prime, you're the biggest brand on the playing field and they're coming to be serviced. They know that you do something, they want to either buy it, service it, use it, vote for it, whatever it is, they're coming to be serviced. And then attention is where people have generic needs. They're looking to purchase something and they type it into search engines, and those who happen to appear are buying their attention more often than not. Most businesses are actually in advocacy. They're slow in the adoption of technology and they sit within advocacy. They're in a niche play, a niche market, and they have a relationship with the customer that's might informed. That means that the customer will buy from them because they like them, but they would move on a better price. Cold and rational means price driven. Warm and comforted means that you get much more margin. I have more reasons to stay with you. To get from advocacy to authority, there is fuel that is required to drive you there. It is that of innovation. Because if I want to buy from you and I'm not as concerned or discerning around price, you must have differentiation. Hot and passionate means I will pay anything. An iPhone costs $600 to buy, whether in your contract or out of it. It costs less than $100 to manufacture. How can you get 600% margin in such a commoditized, heavily contested industry? It's because the brand reputation is hot and passionate. So it makes sense for most organizations that are in that yellow square, which represents low growth, to try to move either into attention, but they have to pay cash to buy media, or they have to earn media attention, which is they have to invent. And it is that fuel of invention is where we start to see data coming in. I'll give you a quick example. We're working with an organization who does personal protection equipment. It's a mandated purchase that all businesses in manufacturing must do. They must supply all of their staff with the correct boots, filters on machines, gloves, whatever it takes to ensure the safety of the organization. Now, it is government legislated purchases, and you must keep up to date with repeat purchases. Boots are not allowed to go much longer than 6 months, and the cycle must then reinvent. A PPE company starts to work with its pharmaceutical partner. The pharmaceutical partner is able to provide the numbers of people who are working in different sections and divisions, many of whom have diverse needs of personal protection needs. The data set from the personal protection needs, or the staff numbers, is measured against the purchasing habits, and it's found that they're out of kilter. The purchases should have been much higher in particular areas, and the problem is that the pharmaceutical company is not replacing stocks that it has, that people have been wearing, boots for 6 months that they've grown to like. Still, they must be replaced. Now, the third data set that then comes in is accidents that are happening in the workplace. So correlations are starting to form around number of accidents, out-of-date equipment, not purchased equipment, bad filters that haven't been purchased and cleaned and replaced, and the procurement. So the organisation starts to build predictive models and historic models of where your accidents came, what happened to be purchased, what was out of date, where did you break legislation, and predicts where it's going to happen in the future, and then starts to become proactive about solving the problem on behalf of their client. They take this and it becomes their value proposition when they go to their next client. They're no longer sucked into what price are your boots, €85, well, I've got somebody who'll do it for 84. That argument disappears. We're here to ensure the health and safety of your organisation, and we can do it better than anybody else. And all it took was the marketers to try to look for a unique value proposition, the leaders to help understand the big mile markers to make this project happen, and the technologists and the data experts to come together to collaborate to answer the questions and to lead the projects so that it could create this competitive advantage. The organisation that did this, by the way, has rapidly outstretched all of its competitors. Where once they were compared on price, they are now not even talking about price or even product. They're talking about their modelling that will help ensure legal compliance and health and safety in larger institutions that they're dealing with. This is one example. We'll be giving more at the event on the day. I look forward very much to being there. If you see me or you know that I'm on, please come and see me. I need your support. There's a lot of good speakers there, and I hopefully will see you in Dublin in September. Thank you.